All right, NAIA football fans, this is Cory Thorpe back with another edition of the NAIF Ball Live Show powered by AdCraft Custom Apparel and Merch, the best in the industry since 1974, ending their 50th year strong with some great products for all the sports here. Running a solo show tonight. No Matt this afternoon, trying to get his final preparations ready for a national championship trip. But who will he see there? Well, we have eliminated 4 more teams. Let's get to the getting on the box scores. First up, the 12 o'clock kick. Benedictine rolls up into Marion, Indiana, and pulls the upset over the third-ranked Indiana Wesleyan Wildcats. It's a very good game in terms of what Benedictine wanted to do. We spoke about last week, Joey and I, the fact that Indiana Wesleyan needed to get off to a fast start, and that just didn't happen. Indiana Wesleyan starts slow. Benedictine's the one that starts very fast, putting the Wildcats behind the 8 ball in terms of score, and they're able to run away with it here, a 20-9 ball game, which was never particularly close. Kyle Antoine definitely threw for more than 1 yard. I apologize. I have to look that up now. Shame on me for not checking my work. But it was a massive game of keep away for Benedictine. 40 minutes time of possession. And even in the first half. So this wasn't one where Benedictine sat on the ball for the entirety of the second half and just kept Indiana Wesleyan from getting it. Indiana Wesleyan did not have good time of possession in the first half either. 211 yards for Antoine. So I just missed a 21. My bad. And the big problem here was that Indiana Wesleyan was 8 of 20 on 3rd and 4th down, including basically being 3 of 5, 60% on 4th down. You take that out, that is 33% third down conversion there. They were not able to stay on the field long enough. While Whitwell was good with 20 attempts for 102 yards, the 3 interceptions and the fumble for Indiana Wesleyan were just too much to overcome. The offense was good, but kept giving away the ball. The Benedictine defense said, "Thank you very much, we'll take that," and was able to ride a good game from Jackson Dooley, Jacob Gathright, and Witherspoon, the running back, to get their berth into the semis. We continue with a little bit of an oddity of I won't say a 17-point game as a runaway game, but I tell you, the way that Grandview's defense played, this felt like a runaway game. 17-0 over Northwestern, a game in which Jackson Waring started to show off some of his legs. We talked about it last week again. But Waring was just efficient enough through the air, hitting Tate Stein-Smith for 5 receptions and 83 yards. The defense was lights out, 3 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, 5 pass breakups, forcing Colby Duncan into a situation he didn't want to be in. Less than 100 yards on 30 throws is abysmal. 16 attempts for 88 yards. They were able to get it done on the ground with the quarterback run game, but Connor McQuillan was not a factor. We knew that they were going to have to get McQuillan going. Joey mentioned it last week. 7 attempts for 30 yards, 4 receptions for 12 yards. One of your best players, if not your best offensive player, gets 11 touches on the day. It's not ideal for you there. And even though Northwestern had fairly comparable stats to Grandview, the big thing was starting field position, where every time they touched the ball on their 8 possessions, they were starting a full first down behind the Vikings. The Vikings defense was able to make them pay, keeping them off the scoreboard and only allowing them into the red zone once in 4 quarters of play. It's a great job there. Total team effort. Another one that was a bit of a blowout was Kaiser Georgetown, 16 points there. Georgetown gets a couple of scores late. The big thing here, 3rd and 4th down conversions. Kaiser 13 of 19, all on 3rd down, no 4th down attempts. 68.42%, very efficient. Georgetown was 2 of 2 on 4th down, 4 of 13 overall, which means you were 2 of 11, which is less than 20% on 3rd down. Georgetown just not able to hold on to the football, despite Darius Neal having a fairly good game. He did get his lumps there. That is almost 6 yards a carry, 15 attempts, 69 yards. 75 yards would be 6 yards a carry. No, that'd be 5 yards per carry. So a little bit less than 5 yards a carry. Still got four some odd, which should be okay. But the Kaiser defense forced Garrick Slunaker to throw the ball, and 112 yards on 20 throws, not real great. On the other side, Shea Spencer was incredibly efficient. 23 of 31 for 239 and 4 touchdowns. Was excellent. Was enough to where on or in our Discord chat, we talked about once Georgetown scored to take to draw up here and to get the 2-point conversion to take it from a 24-point lead to a 16-point lead with about 8 minutes left. I said Georgetown needs to do an onside kick. The defense was allowing way too much efficiency from the Kaiser offense. The Kaiser offense takes the ball and calls game on that one. Georgetown eliminated. In the final game, the one that was the most exciting, Montana Western gets out to a 14-0 lead, but the defense of Morningside eventually figures out how to stop Michael Palandri, and they're able to give their offense enough time to claw back into it. Montana Western, not great on 3rd and 4th down. Neither was Morningside for that matter. But Montana Western did give Morningside hope several times off of penalties. About a 70-yard differential in penalties between these two teams. And when the Morningside defense was able to figure it out, they figured it out good. 4 sacks of Palandri, 7 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, and 2 pass breakups. Huge in getting Morningside, giving them enough time to come back as Chevalier threw 2 picks. Obviously, Drew Sellen, huge in that game, almost 2 bills receiving. But what I really want to point out is Palandri, 15 attempts, 40 yards. That's less than 3 yards an attempt. Obviously, that's not sack adjusted. But you were able to keep him down below 50 yards on 15 attempts. You were able to force him to throw the ball. Obviously, Eli Norse got his with 7 receptions, 96 yards, and a touchdown. But it was all for naught as Morningside notches a place in the semifinals. I'd like to thank Connor Darnell first off here today. And just talk about real quick what Connor is able to bring to the table, whether it's graphics. We've already started talking about what we're going to do for the national championship game and getting posters done for the possible posters done for the winning team, talking about maybe some bag tags for the winners. Also saw today Connor does some fire locker room stick-ons. So that your locker room looks good. If you need anything graphic design, Connor's your guy. Hit him up, Connor Darnell Designs, everywhere you have social media. So, 4 teams left. And let's start with the Battle of the Birds. Kaiser, the Seahawks, plays host to the Benedictine Ravens. And of these two games, this is going to be the one here where you really want to look at the offense. And by extension, whose defense is going to be able to step up enough. You look at Kaiser. Shea Spencer has been so good, 70.75% passing. He is the only quarterback left that is over 68% passing on the season. And the only one that's and there's only one other that's above basically 60% passing. This is an efficient offense. And if Shea's going to start running the daggum football, watch out, because that means you've got 4 running backs for Kaiser that can tote the rock at any given time. I don't know how you feed all 4 at the same time. Maybe we start seeing some Kaiser triple option here. I don't know. Heck, they can do whatever they want. Everything they touch turns to gold right now. I mean, you look at Bam Brema, 6 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 49 tackles, was a huge part of that game there against Georgetown. Geez, my mind blanked there. It was a huge part of that game against Georgetown, able to get it done. Benedictine has been able offensively to ride Jackson Dooley, Jacob Gathright, and Witherspoon to an excellent postseason. But here's the thing. Are they going to run into a defensive buzzsaw with Kaiser, or are they going to be able to put up points and force Kaiser to be efficient? I don't know. I think Kaiser has a very good defense, an excellent defense. This is going to be a really good test for them, as Georgetown is pretty much at this point, they are a traditional football team. You faced Pikeville, who's a very through the air kind of team. The only team that I can think of that might rival what Benedictine is able to do right now is St. Thomas, and that was a very close 31-27 win. I'm going to have to go with the Seahawks here. Jana Burnett, repping it. Love it. I'm going to have to go with the Seahawks here. I do think they're going to be able to get enough stops. But if you're Benedictine, you don't just need to start fast in this game. You need to keep being fast. And your defense needs to create the kind of turnovers you were able to against Indiana Wesleyan. That's going to be hard. Spencer's only thrown 4 picks. You're going to have to figure out how to make them turn the ball over. I mean, this is a team that Thomas was able to play with for a little while. This is a team that played close with Southeastern and with St. Thomas. You might be able to win with turnovers and time of possession. You're going to have to grind it out like Indiana Wesleyan and hope your defense is able to get you the ball back as often as possible. Because if they turn the ball over, they're not scoring, which is the no-duh statement of the year. But that's a failed possession and another turn at bat, an extra turn at bat for you. So I'm going with Kaiser here. The other one from a defensive perspective really is the one that is interesting to me between Grandview and Morningside. It's a really interesting matchup. You've got Jackson Waring, who has started to have been unleashed on the ground. You've got Dalton Van Pelt. You've got a bevy of wide receivers, including Shiloh Smith, who have been very good for Grandview. Jackson Filer has been a havoc artist, 23 tackles for loss and 11 sacks. But at the same time, Chevalier has been able to figure it out. You've got Drew Selin almost, he's going to be a 1,750-yard receiver by the time the game ends. It's hard to limit Selin and what he does. You do have so many pieces there. Heck, we haven't even talked about Lennox Brown recently. He's still there. Zach Norton has done a phenomenal job. You've got so many weapons, and you cannot forget about Huff. Now, those in our Discord will know that I was, and actually on Twitter as well, I was pretty critical of Steve Ryan on that penultimate Morningside possession where you have a one-score lead over a team that you've come back on in Montana Western who has proved to be a problem for your defense. And with 5-6 minutes left in the game, you go incomplete pass, run, incomplete pass, punt. In order to beat Grandview, you're going to have to keep the ball out of Jackson Waring's hands. You're going to have to force that number 2 defense in the nation to be uncomfortable. And that's going to be hard because it's a really darn good defense. And Chevalier cannot turn the ball over. 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, I'm afraid might not be good enough. Because again, we're in the playoffs. An additional at bat for the other team means points a lot of times, especially in sensitive areas like the red zone. Waring has only thrown 3 interceptions this year. You're going to have to win that battle of turnovers if you want to win, if you want to get back to Durham. Yep, they did go one year, I think. Trying to remember in history how many times or where I've seen Morningside. 3 different cities. I've seen them win championship in Grambling, at Daytona Beach, and in Durham. So we'll see if they can get another one in Durham here. For me, I'm going to go against my better judgment, and I'm going to go with Grandview. I think Woodley's defense this year is absolutely broken, and I think that Jackson Waring has matured a lot as a passer and as a runner, and I think you will see Waring able to break it a couple times on the Morningside defense, keeping drives alive with his legs. I see Grandview taking this one and setting up a 1-2 matchup, the first one in what feels like forever. Although I don't know. No, it was 1-2 last year. They seem to be rare, though, at least in the NAI here. Setting up a matchup between Kaiser and Grandview in Durham. So, before we take a look at our Players of the Week, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back afterward from our friends from AdCraft.
So you want to create and sell custom merch for your team or business. That's exciting, but where do you begin? How much inventory should you order? How do you distribute orders? AdCraft has your answers. Streamline the way you offer custom merch by utilizing our risk-free web store service. We ship directly to each customer, and we have the fastest turnaround in the game. Raise funds for your team or get merch to your employees and patrons. Contact AdCraft today, and let's bring your merch to life.
That's exactly what they do, and they were so very good at it. They handle the customer service for you. They make sure that you are taken care of in terms of being able to get a good product out, to get your hands into doing what you need to be doing at this time of year for 90 some odd schools. That's recruiting. If you can spend less time recruiting, or more time recruiting and less time running a dadgum store, that is a win for you. So, check out our friends at AdCraft, outfitting Grandview again for the umpteenth season in a row. They look good. you should look good as well. Go check out my friends at AdCraft. All right, players of the week. It was a hard choice this week. Selin was so good, but I got to go with the guy who was efficient. No, 239 yards does not feel like a lot. It's because it's not. But the 4 touchdowns with no turnovers and moving the ball with his legs, which is not really something that we saw from him a couple years ago in Kaiser's run to the national championship, is super huge. 23 of 31 is incredible. Shea Spencer, probably, likely, if he doesn't win Comeback Player of the Year, the thing's rigged. But absolutely Shea. And the Kaiser faithful telling me that that was the right pick. Defensively, it's going to be a little bit of an odd pick because it is from a losing team. Parker Fryer, though, in his grad season, coming back 15 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, keeping that one close against Grandview is an absolutely monumental Herculean effort for the young man in Orange City. And we'll see. Hopefully we see him playing somewhere next season in making a little bit of money to do so, because he has been excellent this year for Northwestern in his return, rather, to Northwestern. So, 4 teams remain. We are so close to going back to Durham, where Matt will be going back to Durham. Going to Durham. He's never actually been. It'll be a fun time. And our ability to go to Durham is absolutely because of the support of our patrons. They make it happen. They are supporting us, making sure that the bills are paid. They do the not sexy work, while the AdCraft money makes sure that we can buy plane tickets and everything. It's the constancy of our patrons that makes sure that our office subscription is taken care of, that makes sure that the lights stay on. If you want to support what we do in small college football, this is the best way. $1 a month is the base of what we ask for. We have not raised that since we started our Patreon. We understand that times are weird economically, so trying to keep that low and provide some value for you. And of course, our patrons get a lot of extra perks. I'm pretty certain, patrons, we will be doing a full watch along. So we will be able to do that, and that's part of the thing. Yeah, that's right, Michael. So you can meet Matt next year. Matt will be there instead of me. The other half, who is enduring crossover season right now, he will be there with his dad. So go and shake his hand. But yeah, so our patrons are the ones that make it all happen, and they are DSU Cone, Bob Boone, Roger Meyer, Jeremy Vobble, Fred Christensen, Ace Wellen, Brett, Marty Siebold, Nick Ryan, Kyle Gregory, Tyler Pierce, Justin Hoffman, Steve Speakman, Brian Shake, Julianne Shager, Nate Soapbeer, who continues to be thrilled with his Ravens moving on yet again, Stephen Cutler, Julie Lout, Dale Norton, Nathan Moore, Ryan, Jason Crawford, Charles A. Flowers, Todd Nick, Sean Chamberlain, Zach Lance, Josue Trujillo, Casey Willison, Carol C. Suggs, Chris Henchman, 21, who is a little bummed that there's no more Frontier teams. Jason Garnon, USF sucks. Chris Sweener, who surprisingly is also, as a Baker fan, rooting for Benedictine. We'll see how long that holds out. Ian Brookshire, Joey Breckel, Coca Nicholas, and Terrence Grant. So, looking at our comments here. Don't see a whole lot there, but it is absolutely a pleasure to get to do this every year for y'all. And this is the best time of year. Who cares what's happening in big college football? This is the real game right here. This is the real game. We don't have to worry too much about silly strength of schedule stuff. No. We do it right. Games against top 25 are preferred. Games against top 10 are looked at highly. We don't have to worry about that silly stuff. This is the pure, unadulterated football that we get here for the love of the game. Most of these guys, as the old NCAA commercials are used to say, are going pro in something other than sports. And that might be true. But that's why it's more fun to watch. Because these guys aren't making $2 and $3 million behind closed doors. Heck, you'll be lucky if they make $500 a month from some grocery store in town. I love it. It's fantastic. I support NIL for all of these athletes, making sure that they can afford going to school, because these aren't even full scholarships. And as we get more and more into pay-to-play football, I hope you remember and enjoy the pure, unadulterated NAIA. So, for Matt, who will be back at some point, hopefully next week, we'll see. I am Cory Thorpe, and we will see y'all on the Twitter feed.